There's more symbiotes out there than just venom, and new ones are being created left, right, and center. Saying the word symbiote is like one of my top 10 least favorite words to say because no matter what I say, I feel like I'm wrong even if I'm not. So from this point forward, I am just going to say Sim. Killmonger had his own sim called Injudaka, named after Eric Killmonger's Wakandan name. Eric became a warrior for the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, but the Emperor started getting the vibe that Eric wanted to overthrow him. To stop this from happening, he sent Eric on a mission he hoped he wouldn't come back from, as the place was crawling with shadow people, Cronins, and of course Sims. That backfired so hard, it's crazy. Not only did Eric survive, he managed to find the one sim that he could bond with because they shared a mutual hatred of the Emperor. That's kind of funny, sorry. The bonded pair did in fact put an end to the Emperor and then became the new Emperor. Eventually, you know, the bonded pair got in a big fight with T'Challa, and at the end of it, Eric was caught in an explosion of a planet's core. The body for Eric died, but the soul survived because the sim survived and carried it with it. There was a resurrection ceremony, but he did still die in the end. There was a moment when he was ridiculously powerful though. The sim on its own made Eric powerful, giving him advanced everything like speed and strength and reflexes, stamina, also a healing factor, matter generation abilities, and shapeshifting. The true power of the sim unlocked when he drained the powers of Bast. That's right, the child of Ra, Black Panther goddess, so he was truly overpowered for that era. Deadpool has been around the block, so to say, too many times to count. In every sense, this man has done everything in the Marvel Universe, including bonding to a sim. Agent Deadpool was the name taken on here, and he first appeared in 2020 on Earth 1051. To fight the Codex Hive, the Sim Soldier program was created, and Deadpool, of course, bonded with a sim because of it. Agent Deadpool has very similar powers to Venom and powerful regeneration abilities because he has the Sim's regeneration and Deadpool's regeneration. He was also decked out with lots of spikes and weapons. Rascal was originally an offshoot of Bedlam that was left to Kang the Conqueror, off to a great start there. Then the sim was sent to the 21st century on Earth 616 and hybridized with a Carnage sim sample. Then he was stolen, kidnapped by Dylan Brock and Venom, and offered to Normie Osborn so Normie could help Dylan rescue his dad. So quite the origin story, huh? Normie in the past had bonded with Carnage and didn't enjoy it, so he wasn't super stoked to bond with Rascal, but did it anyway to help his friend. Rascal made Normie appear as a red, white, and black edition of the Red Goblin. Since the sim is technically really young, he is kind of like a really dangerous toddler. He is described as naive, inquisitive, and easily distracted. Me too. He also sometimes goes into something Normie calls goblin mode. It's a feral rage. He's completely feral. Turns out that the feral rage wasn't the sim's fault, it was actually the human's fault. Was this discovered in a therapy session? Of course not. It was discovered in the heat of battle. Turns out goblin mode was just a manifestation of Normie's suppressed, deepest, darkest desires. Though the sim is young, he still has all the usual powers like strength and speed and a healing factor. Plus, his powers are very similar to what Carnage has going on since he was a hybrid of Carnage, so that means Rascal is capable of a lot of what Carnage is, like telepathy, wall crawling, webbing, among other things. Rascal can shapeshift, he turns his arms into blades. Void Knight is cool. If you heard of him, you probably agree. If you haven't, so glad I get to be your introduction. Void Knight is a proto-sim. That means, according to the Marvel Wiki, he is an experimental precursor to the parasitic sim species, rather than being sims themselves. So he is one, technically. He did die as quickly as he appeared, which is unfortunate because he looked cool. Void had one mission, one job while he was alive, and that was destroy light and life. You've heard of live, laugh, love, get ready for death, pain, and darkness. He was bonded to the Silver Surfer, so for that era of his life, he had all the Silver Surfer powers, but they were magnified by the Living Abyss, so Super Silver Surfer. The sim worked under Null and was apparently one of his favorites. If you want to see Void Knight's short-lived run, read Silver Surfer Black 2. So this sim has technically been around for a while. He was mentioned for the first time in 1973, but really picked up steam a few years ago in 2018. I think it is literally the coolest because it is a dragon sim. The dragon has lived a long life, like billions of years long, so don't feel too bad that it did pass away. The dragon does have a name, sorry, it's Grendel. Grendel manifested from Null's blood and actually had a sister too. The pair of them literally ransacked the universe for a long time until lucky us, they landed on Earth and picked Denmark as their home. The dragon got its Grendel title because it was mistaken as the monster dark elf Grendel. Honest mistake. His powers apparently come directly from Null, so that makes it extremely powerful because it ransacked the universe. It has the power of interstellar flight, all the usual stuff like strength and speed and stamina, and a healing factor that works really fast, and of course matter manipulation of its body to create tendrils and other related things. This particular sim has the unsettling ability to reanimate and bond with corpses. Hate that. The dragon can be affected by large quantities of electricity, so fighting Thor was tough. And also, like other sims, heat was not great for the dragon either. Not like career ending, just uncomfortable. Grendel could be killed, but up until that point it was immortal. Extremis was a sim to my guy, Iron Man. He was also originally one of the dragons, so that means dragon sim powers, like being powerful enough to kill a god and everything else said in the previous point. This particular sim got some new fun abilities when it merged with an Iron Man suit and infused with the Extremis virus. The combination of the two things gave the sim the ability to project a cleansing beam. The cleansing beam was a repulsor blast that was able to cleanse the corruption from a null victim. That's useful! Extreme can also possess things. Iron Man used Extreme to override the possession Null had over a Celestial. The Celestial didn't get much of a break though, because then Extreme possessed him. The main form the sim took on was a black and yellow Iron Man looking armor, but he could shapeshift back to his true dragon form whenever he wanted to. All the way from Earth 6311 comes Warstar, one of many Type 2 battle sims that were created by Kang the Conqueror and Tyro. This sim is known for following the rules, a real stickler for protocol. He kind of resembles a robot in the way he behaves. The robot sim, he's not really a robot, is very loyal to Kang and did go up against him once, but it was a training exercise. Still, going up against Kang is tough. Not that I would know personally, but I've read about it. The sim is fun because he can take on a human-esque form without a host. He also has cybernetic enhancements to his body, at least it looks that way, that let him transform his body into various weapons, even replicating Kang's time sword. Lots of sims are sensitive to fire, but Warstar doesn't seem to have that problem, as he can turn parts of his body into a flamethrower. He debuted in Venom Volume 5, Issue 8. Serpent also debuted in Venom Volume 5, but this time it was Issue 13. Serpent started out as a mindless sample of living abyss. It soon gained consciousness from the residue of Eddie Brock's rage and bloodlust. Iconic. Imagine being filled with and expelling so much rage you spawn a sim. Though the sim gained consciousness, it was still slightly mindless and acted mainly with base instincts, so that means it went on lots of brutal rampages. Serpent also had powers from King in Black and used the last of it to escape a fight with Thor and throw its consciousness away through space and time. The physical form that was left in Remnants, and those bonded with Donald Blake and merged with Hellner. So this sim has the powers of King in Black, your average sim, and Hellner at its disposal at one point or another during its chaotic lifetime. The name Serpent shows in the thing's face. It can generate fang jaws and a long serpent-like tongue to chomp on enemies. Silence is the sim debuted in Extreme Carnage Phage, and they are a hybrid, creating using the biological data from Scream and the anti-venom serum. I love that the sims are Scream and Silence. I think that is such a good idea. Silence has a personality, good for her. Since she is a hybrid, she possesses the powers of Scream and anti-venom. So that's the usual strength, speed, agility, regeneration, but also from the Scream side of the family, trichokinesis, and from the anti-venom side of the family, presumably the body cleansing. The sim seems to be obsessed with suffering and making it stop by any means necessary, leaving only silence. According to Marvel.com, Misery is literally the newest sim in the Marvel Universe. She was introduced in Cult of Carnage Misery 1, and that happened almost 1 year ago. It's almost her birthday. Alchemax decided to study Carnage offshoots and expose them to anti-venom. Delicate work. Unfortunately, Alchemax got attacked, and CEO Liz Allen was exposed to Misery. Misery is a unique sim as she is a hybrid of Carnage and anti-venom. The Carnage and anti-venom sims hate each other and are always hoping to destroy the other, so that means Liz was gifted with a more powerful than usual healing factor. Her body is extremely malleable. She can be ripped in half and it means nothing. She can melt into a puddle and it means nothing. And her limbs can also transform into weapons. This is a little bonus because I'm not sure if it really works and there's not a lot of info on the character right now, but in the Cult of Carnage Misery comics, we get introduced to Madness. Madness is made up of a bunch of sims stolen from Alchemax. Riot, Phage, Agony, Lasher, Scream, and Toxin. Does that also not make him a new sim? If so, I think he would be the most powerful. It looks like from the comics that he has all the powers of all 6 Sims combined, and the human host himself is a little deranged, so that's like a recipe for disaster for madness. The character was literally described by Marvel like this: there is nowhere Liz Allen can go that Madness cannot follow, no one she can ask for help that Madness cannot destroy, and nothing she can do to stop the brutality of its onslaught. Sounds like a nightmare to me. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and make your mark on the comments section down below. Let me know a fun fact about you. Fun fact about me is I'm wearing this shirt backwards so I can be on theme. It's supposed to be this side first. This is Juliana signing off. Bye!